Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 3 of the Rich Energy British Mini Bikes Championship. And we are here at a very busy Whilton Mill Circuit for this third round, very popular track with the riders. As you can see from this superb drone footage. So with OMG is the Ovale UK Cup. The riders in the waiting zone and will be out on track in just a few moments in this exciting one make series. Riders are in the waiting zone and out on track in just a few moments time. We believe Jake will be down on the grid in a few moments to talk to some of these riders. And Ovale Cup, as you say, a new race class for 2020. This is in association effectively with Peter Hickman, the road racing ace, fastest rider on the Isle of Man TT. And he, of course, was here at the first round of the Championship at Nello Park, as you see the last of the riders make their way through. If you look at these bikes in the paddock, they really do resemble scaled-down BSB or MotoGP machines. Really great bikes for the youngsters to enjoy riding. Let's have a look how they lined up, because it was very close at the front this morning. Henry McCartney, the fastest rider from Harley McCabe in second. Ruben Bray and Luca Hopkins all separated by less than 1 second. Wilson Dilks was in fifth. Laken Payne lining up in sixth position. Arnie Carr, George Bowes eighth. Zach Weston ninth. Ralph Croft rounding out the top 10 from Daniel Stevenson and Cameron Ancliffe in 12th place. Jack Newton 13th from Izzy Carter. Charlie Sketchley in 15th from Kobe Garrett. Dan Deering, Luca Wilkinson with no time in the morning qualifying will line up at the back, but the top 4 or 5 riders covered by less than a second. This is a one make series, sealed engines, and so the bike's pretty much identical. Less than 1 second covering the top few riders in qualifying. Now, there has been close sometimes this year, Jake, in terms of qualifying, and this looks set to be a closely fought race.
Well, yeah, the third weekend is no exception to that. Harley McCabe only has an 8-point swing over Henry McCartney, and of course it's the latter that's managed to get the pole position time by only 0.05 of a second. So the battle really is raging between these first two bikers on the front row of the starting grid. It's going to be really interesting to see how this race plays out now. There looks like only one bike on the front row. What has happened to Henry McCartney? He's meant to be there in pole position. Where is he? Because his bike is not in position on the front row. It looks like it's only Harley McCabe.
It would appear so. Is looking out on the, certainly no riders out on the track at the moment, only purely on the starting grid, so we are losing a couple of positions there. Whether they have hit trouble, I don't know. I mean, see the riders all seem
starting
to be ready,
without him.
All ready to go. Here we go then, and of course good to see a couple more of the novice riders out there again. Flag drops and away we go. Good start there from Harley McCabe. Actually, there he is down the inside. Good jump on Ruben Bray. Bray move into that first corner and up towards the top corner go. Luke Hopkins in there as well on the 41, closely followed by Wilson Dilks. Nice and smooth through Christmas for the first time. Another good start. Everyone seems to have gone away well. And down we go towards Ashby for the first time. Harley McCabe, great jump on the field, so he did seem to have lined up there and gets away smoothly as they make their way through Ashby for the first time.
Yeah, there's no Henry McCartney, which is rather unfortunate considering he was the fastest from qualifying, so that's a story to clear up for later on. But yes, McCabe settling in quite nicely on these exquisite Ovale bikes. They really are quite nice to behold, and they are giving us a really nice battle in this 2020 season, the first for the Ovale Cup in the British Mini Bikes. So a good battle there, continuing to rage as they round through the first turn. This is not going to be an easy one for McCabe because Bray is giving him plenty of pressure. Actually goes slightly faster on the first lap.
Bray looking smooth there through Oblivion up towards Christmas. Gets a nice exit from the corner. Let's have a look as they go into Christmas corner. Bray down the inside, but can't quite get the apex. Has to back out of that one. Will tag onto the back of McCabe here as we head down towards Ashby. Bray looks very quick and very threatening down the hill, but not close enough to go for a move. Now, Luca Hopkins in third is only 1 second adrift, so we'll be trying to keep tabs of these two riders battling for the lead. As again, Bray looks quicker at the moment, but can't find a way through. Hopkins and Wilson Dilks both look threatening, third and fourth. As Bray, let's see what he does through boots. Nice wide exit into the corner, carrying the speed. And we'll try and get past McCabe on the exit here, I think. Let's have a look around the final corner. Bray all over the back wheel, gets a good drive out to the final corner as they cross the line. Almost identical lap times there. But again, Bray seems quick out of those final few corners, and this is where he's going to try and make the move.
Yeah, and this is the difference between the two riders. Ruben Bray's already done a race this morning, of course, or early this afternoon, I should say. Bray has already had a race in these bikes, obviously not in the Ovale Cup, but in one of the other classes. So he knows the circuit. He knows the conditions of each contact patch in the braking zones and when you get back on the throttle, where the application is, where the bike is going to transfer, how the bike is going to feel in terms of the settling nature of the track. So he's actually got the advantage here on McCabe. McCabe has not had that first opening race, whereas Bray is one of the riders here this weekend that's doing two classes. So Bray is already right in the hunt here because he knows what to do with the bike and he knows which parts of the car, which parts of the circuit are going to be tricky. Now that's the 67 that's come down. That's Bose. That's Bose.
That's on the run down to Ashby by the looks of things. Rider sat up, so let's hope that the race continues. We'll keep an eye out on the race control as to what happens, but the race goes on in the meantime. Harley McCabe and Ruben Bray, again, very quick on the run up to Christmas Corner. McCabe so far has got the line covered. Now I believe there will be some waved yellows here because this is where the fallen rider is. Still there, I think, but the race goes on. Down the hill they go towards Ashby, and Bray has to fall in line here at the moment because of the yellow flag. Still Luke Hopkins in third place from Wilson Dilks as we see this fantastic aerial footage giving us an idea of how things are still quite close at the front. There we see Bose tumbling down the order off the track at the moment, but the race goes on, doesn't appear to be anything too serious. Bray does seem very quick on the entrance into boot here, trying to carry that speed. Now, of course, the bikes are relatively closely matched for speed here, so it's just a case, I think, of just trying to get the speed on the exit.
Yeah, the only difference really between these two is in terms of what they did in qualifying this morning. They both had wet circuits, or I should say damp circuits, to play with this morning. McCabe was 0.3 of a second quicker than Ruben Bray, but Bray has one race experience this weekend over McCabe, so he has a little bit more knowledge of the circuit conditions than McCabe does. Now McCabe has a tiny bit more raw pace, but Bray has that extra knowledge, so as a result they're kind of even. They're pushing each other to the limits a little bit. You've got Hopkins there running a very solid race in third position, but he's just not quite able to keep up with the leaders as they continue on their way through. He's still running a very solid race, there's no question of that. Dilks is there in fourth place. Carr, Payne, Croft, Wilkinson, then Antcliffe and Stevenson having a nice little duel over ninth place. But the two leaders, McCabe and Bray, they're getting very close together. If I'm Luca Hopkins, I'm still keeping this nice and lit, because if these two do get together and they do end up impeding each other, there's a very good chance of a subtle, sneaky victory creeping in.
I think Hopkins has just gone down the outside of, I think that's Dan Deering, actually, one of our novice riders who's still back out there and learning and enjoying the race series. And Deering currently in 15th place. The gap between first and third just a shade over 5 seconds. So at the moment, Luca Hopkins not an immediate threat in this race, but certainly if these two start trading paint and getting too close, then you think that Hopkins and Dilks might get involved in this one. At the moment, though, it's a battle between the 179 of Harley McCabe, your race leader, Ruben Bray in second. Just to round out the rest of the top 10, Hopkins third, Wilson Dilks third, in fourth. Arnie Carr, Laken Payne in sixth position, Ralph Croft, Luca Wilkinson, Cameron Atcliffe and Daniel Stevenson rounding up the top 10 as they close in on a back mark, and that's the 25 of Kobe Garrett, currently in 13th position. Oh, it's getting close here though, back marker.
The leader got impeded and Bray's surely going to sweep past them all, and he's got there to the inside.
Not quite. Oh, that was brave there from McCabe. He had to commit to that outside line. Now, I think that might have been Newton, I think, just in the wrong place at the wrong time, as Bray again has a look down the inside. Oh, but McCabe shuts the door. So the unfortunate Jack Newton there, wrong place at the wrong time, really, just seemed to throw this race wide open.
He was so lucky that he didn't get sideswiped by either of them, but Bray knew that that could have been his one and only opportunity to get past, so he kept the feather in. The problem is, having swept around the outside, he found himself in the wrong position to go through Oblivion flat on the throttle, so he had to back out of it just a little bit, a little blip of the throttle. That's all it took. McCabe was still in the right place for that left-hander, so a very tricky little race battle between these two riders as they continue to fight for the position. McCabe and Bray very evenly matched, and Bray has the extra added confidence of knowing what the circuit is doing compared to McCabe. McCabe is still essentially a bat in headlights at the moment, trying to stay out of trouble while also pushing the limits of the bike. If they get up to another back marker, Bray is going to pounce.
Well, this is close now. Again, McCabe surely knows that Bray's there, guarding the inside line into Christmas Corner, nice and quick on the exit. Down they come towards Ashby as George Bowes takes a seat on the edge of the track. Again, it's just a bit too close there, but Bray looks quick on the exit here. Just got to try and stay on the rear wheel here as they make their way down towards boot once again. no real chance to overtake directly unless McCabe is slow into the entrance. But here now, Bray, I think, is going to try and get the speed round boot and try and make the pass on the exit on the run to Christmas corner possibly. Bray looks threatening here.
Yeah, Ruben Bray has got everything to gain here. McCabe has everything to lose. And Bray's got more knowledge of the circuit conditions here because of his earlier race. He's got a little bit more momentum with him as well because McCabe had that little bit of a moment where he almost lost the lead. Bray is essentially the man doing all of the chasing here, so he can afford to take these opportunities, but they've still got 4 laps to go. So he doesn't want to throw an ugly move onto the inside line in the hope it sticks. He's got to calculate it and time it right. The hardest job for Bray here is essentially to stay coughing up the exhaust fumes of McCabe's bike. He's got to stay that close to him. He's got to be chewing dirt on the way through these apexes, and that's the only way you're going to pounce on him, because he has this opportunity to use that momentum to slingshot past him in the apex, and that's where he's going to nail him, but he's got to be patient.
Luke Hopkins a distant third at the moment with the 85 Wilson Dilks, the 2 leaders closing on the back markers now. That's down the inside of the slower riders. It's the 85, that's the 4th place rider Wilson Dilks at the moment alone in 4th place, although the 83 of Arnie Carr not too far behind. Certainly a bit close, a bit of traffic here on the edge of the top 10. There's the 135 in 11th place as the 2 leaders thread their way through the riders on the edge of the top 10. And fortunately here for Harley McCabe, it looks like Bray has been bulked slightly by, that's I think the number 7, the 9th place.
Oh,
yeah.
Dear, oh dear.
Nice.
I think he actually got held up the rider before thinking about it. I think it was Stevenson that initially held him up, and now McCabe is able to utilise that opportunity. And look how close they were at the line. They were only 0.08 of a second apart at the line, so that suggests to me that Bray was having another crack at McCabe. But essentially, Bray then got bulked in behind first Stevenson and then Antcliffe. That's opened up the gap, and that's really made it a difficult situation now for Bray to get back on terms with McCabe.
There is Antcliffe, the number 7 in 9th place, I believe. That looks like Stevenson close behind. They're having their own battle, of course, on the edge of the top 10 with 2 laps to go. They fall a lap down. So Bray, nice little squaring the turn off there to get past Antcliffe and stay in contention with the leader. Still not much in it as they go down the inside of the 8th place rider, number 76. That is Luca Wilkinson. These 2 race leaders really are maintaining a good pace at the front. They've lapped well into the top 10 now, and may even catch up on the 49 of Ralph Croft. They've already lapped Dan Deering for a second time, so the pace at the front is very quick indeed. Luca Hopkins currently 6.5 seconds adrift in 3rd. Let's have a look at Ruben Bray here, because it looks like he's starting to close back up on Harley McCabe. Always a lot easier when you're in 2nd place to catch up on the leader. There's McCabe, then 179 has led pretty much the entire race. Got a great start, but Ruben Bray looks threatening in 2nd place as we now head on to the last lap. So it's now or never for Ruben Bray, who continues to close the gap.
It's difficult because it's 0.6 of a second, which is a good 8 or 9 bike lengths, and that's a sizable advantage around a circuit like this when you've only got a few hundred meters to play with. So it is going to be difficult for Bray to maintain this, to keep this fight up to McCabe. Essentially, I think Harley has already got this one nailed to the mast. The reason he's been able to do it is because he's nibbled his way through the back markers to the absolute perfection. He made the moves, he kept himself in the advantage point. Essentially, he's just got to guide it round, but he is being a little bit cautious. Bray might be able to sneak this one in the final couple of corners if McCabe isn't concentrating.
Well, here we go. Bray now really attacking through into boot. At the moment, it looks like Harley McCabe has just about done enough. Bray still pushing hard in 2nd place, but round the final corner goes Harley McCabe. Ruben Bray still battling, but the checkered flag falls to Harley McCabe. Ruben Bray 52.7 on the final lap, fastest lap of the race by quite some margin. 3rd position will be the 41 of Luca Hopkins. Wilson Dilks crossing in 4th as Luca Wilkinson goes through, finishing 1 lap down, but still in 8th position. Daniel Stevenson and Cameron Antcliffe rounding out the top 10. Looks like Dilks there in 4th position, and Arnie Carr will round out the top 5. So a very closely fought Ovale Cup burst race, some very close racing at the front and very fast pace lapping all the way through into the top 10. But well-deserved victory for Harley McCabe.
Yeah, and a character-building race as well for Ruben Bray, because he really had to work hard to stay with Harley McCabe on that one. Luca Hopkins, a solid 3rd place for him there, but McCabe, that's such an important race victory when you consider that his main rival, Henry McCartney, who had actually outpaced him in qualifying, had actually managed to he managed to not only beat him off the line, but obviously McCartney wasn't there on the line. So it's a great opportunity for McCabe as he disappears out in front and really nails it to the mast in terms of his performance.
So it's the second race of the day of the OMG Ovale 110 Cup. So here we are down in the waiting zone, waiting for the Ovale machines to get underway. This is a one-make series, of course, for the bikes. New in 2020, these Italian-constructed Ovale machines, and it really has gone down very well for 2020. Last few riders in the vets making their way off the circuit. We're back underway with the Ovales in just a few moments, and like all the other race classes, this has been shortened somewhat because of the incidents earlier on today. A couple of lengthy red flag delays means that it really is a dash to the flag for the Ovales. Just to recap this, the riders in this race aged 8 to 12 years. Headed by the morning qualifying was Henry McCartney from Harley McCabe, Reuben Bray, Luca Hopkins, Wilson Dilks, Laken Payne in 6th place. 7th was Arnie Carr, George Bowes, Zach Weston, Ralph Croft, Daniel Stevenson and Cameron Ancliffe in 12th position. 13th, Jack Newton from Izzy Carter, Charlie Sketchley, Kobe Garbett, Dan Deering, and no time for Luca Wilkinson at the back of the field in this 18-rider field. Ovale's then, as I say, riders age 8 to 12 years old, very popular series, a bit like, of course, your experience with the karting side of things, Jake. These bikes, of course, very close controls on the suspension, and crucially, running sealed engines. So for those who don't know what we're talking about there, what does sealed engines mean?
So essentially, they are given a particular spec of the engine and they cannot be tampered with. They cannot be worked on in any way, shape or form. So once the engines are sealed, that is the mode and that is the settings that they can run. You can't make any tweaks, you can't make any adjustments, and that is obviously very, very critical because the whole purpose of the Ovale 110 Cup is that it comes down to the rider. It's not about the equipment, it's about the rider. So all of these competitors have been given the same equipment, the same machinery, those sealed engines, and obviously they're on the same tyres. Nobody's got a clear advantage in terms of budget, nobody's got a clear advantage in terms of competitive equipment. It's just about the racing, and that's exactly what this category was set up to do. Now, it's great to see that on pole position, we are going to see Henry McCartney this time. Yeah. He had a mechanical problem for race 1. He wasn't able to get out, so at least for the second race, he is able to take up his rightful place in pole position alongside Harley McCabe. That's going to be interesting because now McCartney's on the back foot, having had that mechanical problem. So can he get himself... Oh, a slight problem in the midfield there. That's for the rider... The engine, that's for Ralph Croft.
Yeah, just lost the engine, I think, so luckily we're able to kickstart that back into life. Everyone seems ready then, so here we go with the green flag. Oh no, we're right on cue. We're just going to double check. I think there was one rider we thought had lost the engine, but no, yeah, we're okay to go. Ovale race number 2 gets underway. Oh, and an aggressive start there from Henry McCartney and looped out on him, really. Put the power down too hard, really. The front end looped up to say hello. And that means that McCabe, McCartney and Luke Hopkins get through into the top 3. Not been his day so far.
And that's the lack of knowledge he had from the first start as well, because obviously not doing the first race earlier on, he went a little bit too eager. He needed to get this race result to come his way, and it was just a little bit too aggressive for him on the throttle. That's why the bike lurched forward. So McCartney now finds himself down in 4th place behind Bray, and they're in 2nd position. Still a very exciting run thus far from the 411, Luca Hopkins, riding a very good start to the race already.
They make their way around for the first time. The rest of the top 10 go through. As down the inside there, close there with Luca Hopkins and the 31. That was Reuben Bray there as well on the number 12. Bray having a look on the outside, going around the final corner, taking a nice sweep. And, oh, that's going to be Brave down the inside into oblivion, but doesn't quite make the move stick. Of course, the pass now will be on for Christmas corner for Reuben Brave. He gets this outside line sorted out, going up the hill, having a look down the inside into Christmas corner, and that was a nice move there from Reuben Brave. About 3 or 4 corners in the making there, you would say, and Reuben Brave makes the pass stick up to 2nd place and already pulling away, trying to get up with the leader.
Yeah, he's disappearing away from Hopkins already. I think Luca is pretty safe and sound in 3rd place in front of McCartney the way things currently stack up. There is McCartney just running through in 4th position. Unfortunate from his start, he just got a little bit too eager on the launch, obviously with a lot of work to do and a desperate need to convert pole into victory after his retirement earlier on. but that pressure, that added weight of expectation can just unsettle you that little bit more, especially when you consider that these riders are only 8 to 12 years old, and there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders to get that start perfectly nailed. And when you've only got 5 laps to do anything about it as well, it really does become a bit of a knife edge. So I think essentially Henry McCartney will wash this one away to an unfortunate opportunity stolen from him for various different circumstances. But he can still be very impressed with himself. He was the fastest in time qualifying by 500th of a second. Come on, Ruben. This is where you need to get stuck in now, because Harley McCabe is there. They had a great rivalry earlier on, and this is now Bray's only opportunity that he's going to get today to really blast in there for a race victory. And he's only got 3 laps to do it.
Just got to get a front wheel in there and take the corner away, and Bray certainly pushing hard. He appears quicker than McCabe. Has a look down the inside into boot, but no, he can't get the line into there. This is where Ruben Bray perhaps will look to be a bit tactical. Can't have a look down the inside of Hopkins there. Here we come around the final corner, and Ruben Bray tagging onto the back here of the race leader, Harley McCabe. Again, Hopkins fending off McCartney as the 2 leaders make their way up towards Christmas corner. Bray's got a nice jump on the outside. He just can't quite get close enough to get the front wheel in there. In the meantime, though, Hopkins is being pushed along here by Henry McCartney. McCartney all over the back of the red number 41, Luca Hopkins. And those two already, we've got 1.5 laps to go. They are actually starting to close up on the 2 race leaders.
Yeah, if McCartney can get through on Hopkins there and take a 3rd position, I think that's what he can chalk down to what they call the best of a bad job, isn't it? I mean, it's not his fault that things have worked out the way they have. It's mechanical problems that have kept him from the grid. So it's not really as clear-cut as all that, but it's going to be an interesting one. The battle is still obviously very intense up front, but Ruben Bray has now just got 1 lap to really push into McCabe. You could see the bike really unsettled as he pushes the absolute limits of what he can do with it. He is going to try one final trick to make his bid on McCabe, but he's really got to go for it.
McCabe is riding defensively here and in turn effectively holding the rest of the pack up here, guarding the inside line, and again does a great job going into Christmas corner. And it looks like McCartney's gone through to 3rd on the approach to Christmas. Down to Ashby they go. McCartney now clear in 3rd as Hopkins has a look down the inside, but that wasn't going to really happen. Here we go then, half a lap to go. McCabe still holding on. There is McCartney now clear in 3rd, but it's all about these two now going in towards the final half lap. And Bray is going to have to get a good line into boot to make the move stick.
He's got one final chance, essentially, and it's going to be in the right-hander out of the final turn. He needs to set it up here at the apex. He needs to get early on the throttle, power out, and then just throw conviction to the winds here to try and get across the line alongside him. He's got to try everything he can. Not quite. So close.
Fastest lap of the race there for Ruben Bray, but not enough as the 179 of Harley McCabe takes the checkered flag. It will be 2nd position then for Ruben Bray, only just. Henry McCartney on the final lap, moving into 3rd place. Luca Hopkins on the 411 in 4th. Wilson Dilks in 5th place. Arnie Carr in 6th. Laken Payne just crossing the line in 7th position. Rest of the top 10 more than likely to be made up of Ralph Croft and right on cue Luca Wilkinson in 9th. George Bowes, who hit trouble in the first race, went off the machine on the approach to Ashby. And a good recovery to bring it home in 10th position in the 2nd motor of the day for the Ovale Cup. So that draws things to a close. And another exciting race category coming up very soon, of course. We've got the Brap Super Minis in just a few moments. That was the Ovales for today. And we look forward to Brap.